At the beginning of the story, we saw that when a USA fighter jet was flying in Afghanistan, suddenly some enemies fired a missile at them. Terry, who was piloting the plane, immediately activated the fighter jet's defense system. But unfortunately, the missile still hit their jet. The plane was completely out of control, and now there was only one way to survive. Jump out of the plane. Both of them, without wasting any time, jumped from their fighter jet. A few minutes later, when Kate and Terry regained consciousness, they were in the middle of the Afghan desert. But before Terry could help the injured Kate, Afghan fighters surrounded them and opened heavy fire on Terry, leaving him badly wounded. Then, just as an Afghan fighter approached Terry, suddenly Kate launched an attack on him. She shot the men dead with her gun. After this, Kate fired rapidly at the other enemies and, with her bravery, left them unarmed. But the troubles didn't end here. Suddenly another Afghan fighter arrived there, and when Kate started firing at him, she realized her gun had run out of bullets. Helplessly, she thought of running away from there. But before she could be killed by the enemy, Terry mustered courage and shot that Afghan fighter dead. After this bravery, Terry was counting his last breaths. Kate was completely shattered by this incident. She went to her companion, and Terry apologized to her because he couldn't get both of them out of that difficulty. Hearing this, Kate's eyes filled with tears. Now her only goal was to contact the rescue team somehow. Meanwhile, on the other side, the remaining Afghan fighters saw that their leader was still alive. They also found out that the American forces had escaped from there. After walking for a while, Kate saw from a distance a whole convoy of enemy vehicles that had surrounded the entire area. Kate immediately decided that staying here was dangerous. Therefore, she ran towards a nearby bunker to hide. But before reaching the bunker, the enemy spotted her and began heavy firing at her. Their leader even fired a missile at Kate, but she somehow escaped. Then, as soon as the smoke cleared, Kate saw that the bunker door had opened due to the explosion. Now, without wasting a second, Kate entered the bunker. Just then, an enemy reached the door behind her, and Kate shot him dead with her pistol. Well, after this, Kate saw that she was standing in front of stairs that were perhaps hundreds of meters deep. But she had no other choice. Therefore, she decided to go down. She couldn't understand what kind of place this was, but still, she was slowly moving forward. Then she heard the sound of enemies approaching from behind, and in an attempt to find an exit, Kate went even deeper inside. Then, as she entered one part of the bunker, she smelled a very foul odor, and a little further, the horrifying scene before her eyes made her very scared. Actually, there was a corpse lying there in a terrible condition. Not only that, but Kate also found a mysterious device there, along with many papers and records, which described the horrible experiments being conducted there. At that same moment, she suddenly heard the sound of enemies approaching, so Kate immediately threw her light stick far away and hid behind a large pillar. At that same moment, one of the Afghan fighters turned on the generator, causing light all around, and then a terrible secret was revealed. Actually, there were hundreds of capsules there, containing human corpses kept locked. Now, as soon as the enemy's attention wavered, taking advantage of this opportunity, Kate used her fighting skills and suddenly snatched the gun from one of them. Seeing Kate, the Afghans started heavy firing one after another, in the process of which a capsule broke, and the corpse kept inside fell to the ground. Now, to save her life, Kate descended through a nearby hatch. As soon as their leader saw that Kate had entered the tunnel, he ordered his men to follow her so she could be surrounded from all sides. Then he shouted for the other men to stay there so that even if Kate returned, she wouldn't escape. That man, taking his position, was slowly moving towards the corpse that had fallen from the capsule. Meanwhile, Kate was crawling forward inside the tunnels without making a sound. As soon as an enemy came to check the hatch, Kate stood still like a stone. During this, the men on guard duty thought of covering the fallen corpses with a sheet. He had no idea that one of those creatures was still alive, and before he could react, that creature attacked him. At that same moment, Kate somehow reached the emergency exit stairs, but then the Afghan's leader, Malik, appeared in front of her. Meanwhile, the other fighter saw his comrade's corpse, which that horrible creature was tearing apart and eating. Now, out of fear, he started calling his chief for help loudly. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Kate shot that man in the chest with her flare gun. Then she immediately picked up the enemy's rifle from the ground and killed them all one by one. Immediately after this, Kate threw a grenade there and started climbing the stairs. Then, as soon as Kate reached the top, suddenly an Afghan grabbed her leg and pulled her. Before Kate could recover, that horrible creature pounced on the man's face and started trying to devour him. Seeing all this, Kate became very panicked and started running outside. The creature tried to catch her, but Kate somehow got out of the bunker. Now, to trap this creature inside, Kate locked the bunker door with chains. But just as she was about to leave, another enemy appeared in front of her. But when that man saw the creature trying to get out of the bunker, he ran away in fear. Then Kate also escaped to save her life, but after going some distance, she fell to the ground due to her deep injury. To endure this pain and continue walking, she relied on medicine. Then, after going a little further, suddenly a vehicle of soldiers collided with her. As soon as the soldiers realized this was their own comrade, they immediately ran to help her. Then the next day, Kate was taken to the army camp. There she met Major Roy, and Kate tried to explain to him that something very wrong was happening in that bunker. But Roy did not believe her words. He said that the situation had deteriorated greatly since the war. Therefore, at this time, their full attention should be on the main mission. Angrily, Kate explained in detail about the horrible creature she had seen while fleeing. But Roy did not budge from his decision. The device Kate had found in the lab was also taken into his possession by Roy, and he sent her to the camp doctor. Meanwhile, a squad of soldiers arrived there with a prisoner, and Roy said to extract all the information from him. Outside, Sergeant Tom came to calm Kate down because she was very angry with Roy's attitude. Well, later, when Kate was being treated by the paramedic, Sergeant Tom arrived there with Sergeant Jones. They told Kate that we completely believe you. But before going back to the bunker, they needed to know what had happened there. Hearing this, Kate wrote a Russian line that was written on the bunker doors. Her memory is very sharp, so she remembered everything clearly. But Kate did not know what it meant. Just then, the Afghan prisoner interrupted, saying it's a warning. It means opening it is forbidden. Along with this, that man claimed that whatever Kate had said about the bunker, the truth was far more horrifying. So much that they couldn't even imagine. This statement left Tom a bit confused. He said if it's written in Russian, it must have been closed about 30 years ago because no one from Russia has come here for 30 years. Then the doctor interrupted, saying no human can survive locked up for so many years. On this, the prisoner said another terrifying thing. He revealed that the creature alive inside the bunker is not human at all. This statement deeply worried the entire group. Well, then evening began to fall, and as darkness set in, the soldiers decided they would guard the entire area in shifts because new enemies could appear at any moment. Meanwhile, in his cabin, Roy spoke with the colonel, and the colonel said to quickly send the device that Kate found. Actually, that device was a recorder, and Roy said clearly that if you want it, you'll have to tell the full truth about what is actually happening. Meanwhile, we see that in the deep darkness of the bunker, those horrible creatures had freed each other. Then, slowly, they all gathered in one place and began trying to break the chains blocking the exit. That night, a soldier named Serrano came to take Dwight's place. But as soon as he moved forward, he heard a strange sound from behind. Turning to look, he found out his comrade had disappeared from there. In surprise and confusion, Serrano went near the barricade to see what had happened. At that same moment, Dave, inside the camp, smelled an extremely foul odor spreading and, suspecting something, went out to look around. Then he saw from a distance those horrible creatures running straight toward the base. So Dave tried to warn everyone by screaming with all his might. Hearing the alarm, the entire squad picked up their gear and immediately prepared for battle. In a moment, all soldiers took their positions at the barricade and began firing at anything that moved. Now Roy fully understood that Kate was telling the truth. He ordered Sergeant Tom to lead the squad and make full use of all dangerous weapons. After this, the soldiers began attacking, trying to eliminate those creatures. But suddenly, a creature attacked Dwight from behind and, with just one strike, separated his head from his body. Seeing this sight, they all were stunned. Sienna panicked and fired shots at that creature, knocking it down from the wall. Immediately, the paramedic ran to help Dwight. But what could he do? At that same moment, one of those horrible creatures suddenly leaped, trying to attack the soldiers. But Tom quickly fired his gun, because of which, the creature fell straight into Major's hut. Then, without wasting a moment, Roy attacked it and began striking continuously with his gun. The barrage of bullets completely destroyed a part of that creature's body. Now, outside the camp, the soldiers had spread out in different directions to confront as many creatures as possible. Meanwhile, as soon as Tom lit his flare, he saw even more creatures approaching from a distance. Seeing this, he shouted for the entire squad to retreat immediately. But before retreating, unfortunately, 2 soldiers fell victim to those creatures. Also, a 3rd soldier who was trying to hide in the washroom was also caught. Meanwhile, as soon as Kate heard the sound of a creature approaching, she quickly tried to open the weapons crate. But the crate didn't open, and as soon as the creature entered the cabin, it launched a fierce attack on Kate. After this, that horrible creature tried to grab her with its long tongue. The Afghan prisoner somehow freed himself and quickly opened the weapons crate. Then he soon picked up a machete and struck the creature with full force. After which, that creature fell to the ground, and Kate, still angry, kept striking it repeatedly. Meanwhile, outside the camp, complete chaos had erupted. A soldier was continuously attacking those creatures with his machine gun, but when an opportunity arose, a creature also killed him. After this, the heavy gun started firing on its own, and the bullets hit the fuel cans directly. The next moment, a terrible explosion occurred throughout the camp, and after this blast, the soldiers saw a creature standing right in front of them. Then they all together finally killed it. At that same moment, the major saw that his gun's bullets were exhausted. Before he could do anything, a creature launched a fierce attack on him. Then Kate, the Afghan prisoner, and the remaining soldiers quickly ran toward the barricade. At the same time, Jones immediately took the prisoner into his custody. Sensing the sudden silence, Tom realized that staying here was now dangerous. He ordered Sienna to run immediately toward the weapons base, while he himself went with the paramedic to search for the major. Upon reaching the cabin, the soldier threw a stun grenade at that creature, and taking advantage of this opportunity, Roy picked up his baseball bat and knocked the creature down with a powerful strike. After this, everyone together rescued their senior officer and took him to the armory, where Dave and the other soldiers were trying to open one of the containers. Meanwhile, the soldiers returned to the larger squad, but suddenly a creature attacked them. Now Kate picked up an axe from the container and climbed straight onto the creature's back. Kate severely wounded that creature, after which, Tom stepped forward and finished it off completely. Then, as the path cleared, the entire group ran and entered the container. After closing the door, they rested for a while and then began thinking about what to do next. In the morning, when the soldiers opened the container door and surveyed the camp, they were stunned by the sight before their eyes. Actually, there were neither any creatures nor the corpses of dead soldiers. After searching for a while, they finally found a creature's corpse, so they all began examining it carefully to understand the secret of this horrible creature. During the examination, Dr. Wills discovered that these creatures could retract their teeth. Their skin was extremely thick, and surprisingly, many of their body parts were human-like. Not only that, their group also understood that these creatures' biggest weakness is sunlight. Their DNA has completely changed. Therefore, sunlight directly affected them. Meanwhile, the Major revealed that during his conversation with the Colonel, he had received special information. Then he also apologized to Kate because he hadn't believed her initially. Then Roy explained that many years ago, a meteorite fell on Earth. In this very area, Russian scientists became curious upon seeing it and began trying to find out what this thing was. During the investigation, they found a very large spaceship there, which was completely destroyed. Seeing this, those people were completely astonished. Then they tried to create a super soldier using the DNA of the creature found in the spaceship. Upon hearing this, Kate became worried. She reported that she had seen an entire army being prepared in capsules inside the underground bunker, which could awaken at any moment. Therefore, they had to get out of there immediately. But now the difficulty they faced was that they didn't have fuel to escape the desert. Understanding the situation, they all realized they would have to stay and face these creatures here. Roy promised everyone that he would fight alongside his comrades until his last breath. Just then, suddenly, that creature on the table came back to life. It began attacking the people around and tried to swallow Kate's head with its long tongue. Then, to save herself, Kate forcefully slammed her head into that creature. Then Roy realized that like this, his entire squad would be wiped out. So he took out his grenade and, without a moment's thought, Roy jumped straight onto that monster. The next moment, a massive explosion occurred, completely destroying his body. Then Tom panicked and ran to help his friend, but Roy could not be saved. Well, after composing himself, Tom now went to that prisoner and decided to set him free. He wanted them to work together now because that man had not lied to them about a single thing. After this, the entire squad gathered, and they all began taking stock of their weapons, equipment, and ammunition. Soon they realized that if another attack came, they didn't have enough ammunition to stop it. Therefore, they all made a decision. Before those creatures attacked them, they would attack the bunker first and eliminate all the creatures right there. Soon, the soldiers made full preparations for this final mission. Tom told everyone that our job is simple. We need to plant bombs outside the bunker and get out before the explosion. As soon as they reached the bunker, only 4 people entered inside: Tom, James, Kate, and that prisoner, Kabir. The other soldiers stayed outside. Without wasting time, they began placing explosives in different locations and started to exit. But while exiting, Tom's eyes fell on a medallion lying on the ground, which actually belonged to Kate. As he moved towards the stairs to pick it up, suddenly a creature grabbed him and pulled him down hard. A few seconds later, Kate heard Tom's voice on the radio. At that moment, she understood that the creatures had captured Tom. Determined to save her friend, Kate decided to go back down with the other soldiers to find and retrieve Tom. Now, to operate the elevator can, Vex remained inside the military vehicle. The situation was very bad, but still, everyone reached the underground area. Meanwhile, the medic heard an alert on the radio with orders that they had to evacuate the entire area within the next 20 minutes. Panicking, Wills immediately told everyone that we have to get out quickly. Hurry up. After this, the entire squad set out to search for Tom, while Dave remained in his position to guard the elevator. Meanwhile, Tom somehow used the knife in his pocket to kill the creature that had held him captive. Once free, he set out to find his comrades. As soon as the others reached the bunker's lab, they were stunned by the sight there. Corpses of those killed by the creatures were scattered everywhere, and as they approached the central capsule, an even more horrifying sight awaited them. Inside that capsule, a very large monster was being prepared. Meanwhile, a creature suddenly attacked Tom from behind. But as soon as he heard Kate's voice, he immediately ran toward the lab where his comrades eliminated that creature with their weapons. At that same moment, Vex saw that several Afghans had surrounded the bunker. He immediately climbed onto the weapon mounted on the vehicle and began firing non-stop to keep the threat at bay. Meanwhile, near the elevator, Dave was surrounded by numerous creatures. While firing at them, he also activated the emergency alarms. By now, Kate had realized that the monsters had set a trap to ensnare them. She immediately told the group that we need to get out of here quickly, and then they retreated and closed the door. But Jones understood that the creatures could turn the crank to open the door. Therefore, he held the crank with all his strength and told his comrades to all get out, while he himself stayed behind to hold off the enemies. Meanwhile, outside, Vex's gun ran out of bullets. He tried to reload quickly, but he had no idea that an Afghan was right beneath him. Meanwhile, while exiting the bunker, Sienna heard a terrible roar from behind. She stayed back herself so her remaining comrades could safely reach the exit. In a short while, the entire squad had reached the elevator. But as soon as Tom realized that Sienna was not with them, he immediately decided to rescue her. He ordered the others that if he didn't come out within 5 minutes, they should activate all the bombs and get out. Meanwhile, a creature suddenly attacked Sienna. She was using nearby objects to fight her enemy. In anger, she kept striking continuously and finally killed the creature. But then another creature came from behind and badly tore a part of her face. This blow was so terrible that Sienna died on the spot. Seeing this, Tom was filled with rage. He picked up a knife and, using a dustbin lid as a shield, began fighting the creature. Meanwhile, Jones was very tired from all this. He moved away from the door, took out his detonator, and sacrificed himself to save his friends. In this massive explosion, all the mutants around him were destroyed. Hearing the blast, Tom knew that staying there now was like inviting death. He immediately decided to flee. Meanwhile, outside, an Afghan attacked the paramedic. He was about to kill Wilkes with his knife, but Wilkes somehow saved his life. Then, bravely fighting every enemy, he activated the can to pull the entire group up. But the problem was that due to the blast, a part of the mechanism was damaged, because of which, the vehicle began moving forward. Wilkes panicked and tried his best to stop the vehicle. Meanwhile, inside the elevator, Kate, Kabir, and Dave together were facing dozens of creatures. Suddenly, a creature struck Dave's head with its arm, and he fell right there. As soon as the paramedic realized that the can could not be stopped now, he decided to jump to the other side of the vehicle. Meanwhile, during their fight, Kabir saw the military vehicle above the stairs, but then a creature grabbed him, and Kabir knew that surviving now was difficult. He shouted loudly, telling Kate to jump from the platform. Because of him, Kate's life was saved at the very last moment. While in a massive explosion, Kabir and all the other creatures were destroyed. A few seconds later, Kate met Tom. On the other side, Vex was still about to be lethally attacked by some enemies, but at the last moment, their team arrived there and eliminated everyone with their weapons. A little later, their group saw a military plane firing a nuclear missile. Then those people immediately got into a vehicle and tried to escape from there. Finally, a large bomb fell to the ground, and everything within several kilometers of the desert was destroyed. In this explosion, barely 3 people managed to save their lives. They had understood that this attack was done to bury this matter right here, and they too left that place forever without looking back. If you liked the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.